with Beyonce, you know, it's just a weird thing because I do love her so much, and I would never ever want to do anything to hurt her or her image because she's, you know, she's important to us. But it's just a weird thing right now. Like, I love Beyonce.
The both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That's smooth under the rug.
Why?
What if the most powerful couple in music, the billion-dollar king and queen, weren't a love story, but a cover story? For years, Beyonce and Jay-Z have ruled culture like modern-day monarchs. The world sees perfection, glittering tours, flawless photos, and a legacy polished to divine shine. But what if behind the veil of black excellence lies something far more dangerous, an empire built not on art, but on control, contracts, and carefully crafted illusion? Now, Jason Lee, Hollywood's most fearless insider, is tearing through the facade, and what he's hinting at could burn the throne to ashes. He's not whispering gossip, he's delivering a coded warning. He claims there's a system behind the Carter Empire, one that shapes narratives, silences critics, and erases anyone who dares to challenge the Queen. A machine so powerful, it doesn't just protect Beyoncé's image, it owns it. Why was Jason suddenly iced out after years of support? Why do industry veterans claim Beyoncé's perfect world feels scripted, rehearsed, and guarded by invisible rules? And what secrets did he uncover that made her entire camp go silent? Fast? The whispers are chilling. Secret deals disguised as loyalty. A marriage built not on love, but leverage. And a legacy so meticulously engineered, even Beyoncé herself might be trapped inside it. But the deeper Jason digs, the darker it gets. Because this isn't just about fame, it's about power, influence, and the hidden hierarchy that decides who gets to shine and who gets buried. Some call him reckless, others call him brave. But no one can deny, Jason Lee just cracked open a door Beyoncé has spent her entire career keeping locked. And now, the internet is asking the question her empire can't afford to answer. If Jason's right, what happens when the Queen's crown begins to crumble? Because in the kingdom of perfection, even one truth can cause the empire to fall. This isn't celebrity gossip. This is the undoing of a dynasty. And tonight, the throne trembles. There are celebrities, and then there are gods. In a world where fame fades overnight, Beyonce and Jay-Z built something untouchable, a billion-dollar empire of perfection, secrecy, and control. Every move choreographed, every image flawless, every word filtered through power. But what happens when someone dares to break that illusion? Enter Jason Lee, the man who just declared war on the royal family of music. A media mogul, a self-made disruptor, and the one person crazy enough to speak against the most protected woman in entertainment. And when he did, the internet exploded. In this video, we're diving deep into the truth Jason Lee says nobody wants to hear, about manipulation, power, betrayal, and the empire behind Beyoncé's perfect smile. Because this isn't just gossip, this is a story about control, silence, and the dangerous price of being a god in a world that worships lies. And when you hear what Jason Lee revealed, you'll never look at Beyoncé or Jay-Z the same again. The Queen's throne isn't shining anymore, it's cracking. The royal brand, how Beyoncé built a perfect empire. From the outside, Beyoncé's story looks divine. A young girl from Houston rises to become the face of global Black excellence. Music, fashion, film, every industry bent to her will. She's not just an artist. She's a religion. And beside her stands Jay-Z, hip-hop billionaire, hustler turned mogul. Together, they crafted a brand so powerful, it blurred the line between art and politics. But perfection comes with a price. Every photo is controlled. Every camera angle approved. Every friend chosen carefully. And according to Jason Lee, that control has turned Beyoncé's world into a kingdom of isolation, where everything that looks divine is actually designed. Jason said, Beyoncé built a brand that loves the culture, but doesn't feed the people who created it. That one line started a fire. He wasn't just calling her out, he was calling out the entire machine behind her. And for the first time in her career, someone wasn't afraid to question the Queen. Mini cliffhanger, because what Jason was about to say next wasn't just a critique. It was a declaration of war. Jason Lee strikes back. I spent $40,000 for nothing. It all began with an invitation that never came. When Beyonce threw her exclusive Renaissance premiere, Jason Lee expected a seat. He had spent tens of thousands supporting her. Tickets, merch, coverage. But the night came and he was left out. To the average fan, that's nothing. But in Hollywood, that's a message. Jason didn't stay quiet. He went live, raw, furious, unfiltered. He accused Beyonce of ignoring black media, of keeping her distance from the culture she claims to uplift. He said, "You'll call Vogue, you'll call CNN, but you won't call the black media who made you. Why? Because you think you're above us now." It wasn't just shade. It was a direct challenge to her empire's morality. And people listened. Some agreed. Others called him delusional. But the conversation had started, and once that door opened, it couldn't be closed again. Because Jason's rant wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a full-scale media rebellion, one that would drag the Carters' entire kingdom into the light. Secrets of the throne, the whispers behind the fame. After Jason's outburst, something strange happened. Anonymous sources began reaching out, people claiming to have worked around Beyonce and Jay-Z. And what they described sounded less like a marriage and more like a corporation. Every interaction, scheduled. Every appearance, contractual. Love and partnership turned into branding and performance. Some insiders claimed the Carters barely lived together. Others said Jay-Z handled the business, while Beyonce handled the image. And Jason started dropping cryptic messages. You think you're watching love. You're watching management. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Were Beyonce and Jay-Z truly in love? Or just bound by a billion-dollar empire that neither could escape? Then came the wildest part. Jason hinted he'd seen things, evidence that Beyonce's image was protected at all costs. That phrase, protected at all costs, spread like wildfire online. People began revisiting old clips. Beyonce's robotic interviews, her calculated smiles, her silence when controversy hit. And the internet started asking, is Beyonce really in control, or is she a puppet of her own creation? Because if Jason was right, Beyonce wasn't the mastermind. She was the product. And every empire built on illusion eventually collapses. The dark network, industry power, silence, and control. Let's be real. In Hollywood, power isn't about talent. It's about control. Jason Lee exposed something far bigger than one celebrity. The invisible network that decides who wins and who disappears. He claimed Beyonce and Jay-Z were not just part of that system. They were its gatekeepers. The ones who kept certain people in and certain people out. He pointed out how quickly the industry turned on him after his comments. One day, his phone was blowing up with invites. The next, total silence. He said, "When you talk about the Queen, the kingdom closes its doors." Hollywood insiders say Jason was quietly blacklisted. Suddenly, his access was gone. But the damage was done. He'd already lit the match. Fans started noticing how Beyonce never directly addresses controversy. She let silence do the talking. A silence so powerful it feels orchestrated. And while Jason fought to keep his platform alive, Beyonce did what she's always done best. Stay above the chaos and let the storm burn itself out. But this time, the silence didn't calm the storm. It made it louder. The internet goes to war. Chaos in the Beehive. Social media became a war zone. The Beehive, one of the most powerful fan bases in the world, came for Jason Lee with a vengeance. Thousands of comments. Endless bees. Full-blown digital warfare. They called him bitter. They said he was chasing clout. They reminded him, you can't touch the Queen. But Jason didn't back down. He started posting more cryptic statements, more hints, more shade. Every post felt like a jab at the empire. Meanwhile, a different corner of the internet began to listen. People tired of perfect celebrity branding, who believed there had to be more behind the curtain. And then came the conspiracy wave. TikTokers, Reddit threads, YouTube breakdowns, all connecting dots between Beyoncé's branding, Jay-Z's business deals, and their silence during major controversies. Theories about mind control, hidden handlers, a controlled image powered by billion-dollar contracts. Wild? Yes. But viral? Absolutely. And that's what made Jason's story explode. It didn't matter what was true. It felt true. And that's all the internet needs. But what if Jason's rant wasn't about truth, but revenge? What if his exposé was personal? Motives and manipulation. Who's playing who? Let's strip it down. What was Jason Lee's real motive? Some say he was hurt, betrayed by people he once supported. Others say it was strategic, a calculated attempt to go viral by targeting the biggest name in the world. But beneath the chaos, there's something human. Jason came from the struggle. He fought his way into an elite world that never truly accepted him. And when Beyoncé's team left him off that list, it wasn't just a snub, it was proof he didn't belong. Meanwhile, Beyoncé's silence spoke volumes. Experts say it's her greatest weapon, a psychological strategy that flips power dynamics. She doesn't react, because in her world, reaction equals weakness. But that silence also feeds mystery. It lets every rumor grow until it becomes its own truth. And that's the paradox. Jason's voice was loud, but Beyoncé's silence was louder. In this game of image warfare, neither side could win because both needed each other to exist. But what happened next shocked everyone. Jason suddenly went quiet. And the reason why might be darker than anything he ever said. The vanishing, when the exposed stopped speaking. After months of chaos, Jason Lee began deleting his posts. His tone changed. His interviews stopped. The man who swore he'd never be silenced suddenly was. Rumors spread instantly. Did Beyoncé's team threaten him? Did he get bought out? Or did he realize he'd gone too far against a power he couldn't fight? But right after his silence, Beyoncé made a move that sent chills through the internet. She dropped new projects, new branding, and a campaign themed around rebirth and freedom. Coincidence? Or perfect timing? Fans started theorizing that while Jason screamed about destruction, Beyoncé was already rebuilding herself behind the scenes. It wasn't the collapse of her empire. It was the evolution of it. Maybe Jason's exposé wasn't an ending. It was the spark that forced the queen to reinvent herself once again. But if that's true, then Jason Lee didn't destroy the empire. He helped it grow stronger. The final twist. Who owns the truth? Now, months later, the dust has settled, but the questions haven't. Did Jason Lee expose Beyoncé's dark side, or just reveal the price of being untouchable? Did Beyoncé silence him, or did she simply prove that no amount of noise can shake true power? Because in the modern world, truth doesn't matter as much as narrative, and Beyoncé's narrative is bulletproof. Jason Lee wanted to pull back the curtain. But maybe what he found wasn't darkness, it was strategy. A woman so powerful, she doesn't even need to speak to win. And that's the final irony. The louder Jason shouted, the more mysterious Beyoncé became. And mystery is the most powerful weapon in the world. So as the internet continues to debate who's right or wrong, one thing remains clear: the empire still stands. But its walls are cracked. Because now, the world is watching closer than ever. And in the kingdom of fame, where silence is power and image is everything, even the strongest throne can tremble. And there it is, Jason Lee's shocking revelation that dares to challenge the throne of music royalty. For years, we've seen Beyoncé and Jay-Z as untouchable, the picture of perfection, power, and love. But tonight, Jason didn't just question their image. He ripped open the curtain to a world built on silence, control, and calculated moves. So here's the question. Do you believe Jason Lee just exposed the biggest cover-up in pop culture, or is this all one man's revenge against the queen herself? Is Beyoncé the mastermind of her empire, or a prisoner inside it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate isn't ending anytime soon. Hit that like button if you want the truth to keep spreading, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because the next story goes even deeper. We're talking new evidence, new insiders, and shocking details that could change how you see the industry forever. So stay tuned, because if this chapter cracked the crown, the next one might shatter the entire kingdom. This is just the beginning.